There are places that seem to breathe with secrets, where the air itself feels heavy with stories untold. On the outskirts of town, atop a lonely rise, stood such a place, its presence impossible to ignore. Even from a distance, the house seemed to watch, waiting for someone to notice its silent vigil. The hollow house stood alone on a hill, shrouded in a perpetual mist that clung to its crumbling walls. Its silhouette loomed over the town, casting long, twisted shadows as the sun set. The house had always been there, a constant, unsettling reminder of things best left forgotten. Its windows, shattered and empty, stared down at the village like vacant eyes. At night, some swore they saw flickers of movement behind the glass, as if the house itself was alive, peering out into the darkness. Paint peeled from its weathered walls, exposing the rotting wood beneath. The wind whistled mournfully through the gables, carrying faint echoes of laughter and footsteps from a time long past. Locals hurried past, clutching their coats and whispering. They spoke of the house as if it were alive, waiting, always hungry for something more. Children dared each other to run to the porch, but none lingered after dark. No one had lived there since Uncle Jasper vanished one stormy night. His faded photograph still sat on the mantel, a silent witness to whatever happened within those walls. Some said his voice could be heard from the upper rooms when the wind was just right. The garden was a tangled mass of vines and weeds. The trees bordering the property grew twisted, their branches reaching away from the house as if recoiling in fear. Inside, silence ruled. The only sounds were the creak of ancient floorboards and the low groan of the house in the wind. Sometimes a door would slam shut on its own, echoing through the empty halls. The hollow house felt less like a home and more like a trap, its darkness thick and suffocating. It waited, patient and silent, for the next soul brave or foolish enough to cross its threshold. Elise never wanted the house. The lawyer's letter revealed her great-uncle Jasper had left her, the hollow house. Her mother's warnings echoed, but curiosity gnawed at her. On a crisp October day, Elise stood before the iron gates, the cold key heavy in her hand. She had to see inside, just once. The townsfolk whispered about the mirror room, a hidden chamber covered in mirrors, tucked away somewhere deep within the old mansion's twisting halls. It was a place shrouded in secrecy, spoken of only in hushed tones after nightfall, when the wind rattled the windows and the shadows seemed to stretch a little longer. Some said the room was cursed, others believed it was simply forgotten, but all agreed that it was a place best left undisturbed. Inside, the walls were said to be covered from floor to ceiling with ancient tarnished mirrors, each one reflecting not just your image, but your fears, your secrets, and perhaps even your soul. It was a place where you could lose yourself without moving, where the line between reality and reflection blurred until you weren't sure which side you belonged to. They said Uncle Jasper became obsessed, searching for something in those endless reflections. He would spend hours, sometimes days, wandering the mirrored chamber, convinced that if he looked closely enough, he'd find the answer to a question he could never quite explain. Some nights, the family would hear him muttering to his own reflection, pleading with it, as if it might finally reveal its secrets. Some believed the mirrors were windows to other worlds, places full of things that envied the living. There were stories of ghostly figures flickering just out of sight, of voices whispering from behind the glass, promising wonders or threatening horrors. The bravest souls claimed to have glimpsed entire landscapes within the mirrors, strange, impossible places that could never exist in our world. No one knew where the room was, only that it was sealed and dangerous. The door, heavy and ornate, was said to be locked with a key that had long since vanished. Some believed the room itself moved, shifting through the mansion like a living thing, always just out of reach, always waiting for someone curious or foolish enough to find it. As Elise explored, the legend haunted her. Every creak of the floorboards, every flicker of candlelight, made her wonder if she was getting closer to the infamous mirror room. She could almost feel the weight of unseen eyes watching her, judging her every step, daring her to keep going. Every reflection felt like a warning. The mirrors she passed seemed to ripple with secrets, their surfaces warping her features into something unfamiliar and strange. Sometimes, she thought she saw movement behind the glass, a fleeting shadow, a flicker of something that wasn't her. The house seemed to breathe with secrets, its walls alive with memories and mysteries that refused to stay buried. And somewhere, hidden in the darkness, the mirror room waited, silent, patient, and hungry for the next soul brave enough to seek its truth. In the dusty library where silence pressed in and the air was thick with the scent of forgotten stories, Elise wandered between the towering shelves. Each step stirred up motes of dust that danced in the golden sunlight, illuminating secrets long undisturbed. As she traced her fingers along the crumbling brickwork, she felt something shift, a loose brick, slightly out of place. With a gentle tug, it came free, revealing a hidden alcove. Inside, nestled in the shadows, was a skeleton key, its metal cool and ancient to the touch. The key was tied with a faded, time-worn ribbon, its color long since stolen by the years. The frayed edges hinted at countless hands that might have held it before her, each with their own secrets. Alongside the key, Elise found a folded note, the paper yellowed and fragile. In Jasper's trembling script, it read, "The mirror room. I have locked it away, but the key cannot close what is on the other side." The note continued, "If you find this, throw the key away. Don't look too long." The warning was underlined, the ink smudged as if written in haste or fear. Elise's heart pounded as she read the final words, a chill creeping up her spine. Despite the fear curling in her chest, curiosity burned brighter. The mystery of the mirror room was too powerful to ignore. Elise's mind raced. What could be so dangerous, so important, that it needed to be hidden away? Instead of discarding the key, Elise felt compelled to search for the door it belonged to. Each step down the shadowy hallway was filled with anticipation and dread, her senses heightened by the promise of discovery. The house's secrets, once locked away and forgotten, now called to her. With the skeleton key in hand, Elise knew she was about to uncover a truth that had waited in the darkness for far too long. The hidden door was behind a moth-eaten tapestry. Elise slid the key into the lock. The door creaked open to darkness. A flick of the switch revealed a room of endless mirrors, walls, floor, ceiling. The effect was dizzying, mesmerizing. She stepped inside, surrounded by countless Elises. Fear faded, replaced by fascination. Elise stared, mesmerized by endless reflections. Suddenly, one deep in the tunnel moved, its head tilting, a smile not her own. Panic surged. The reflection's eyes were cold, its smile predatory. Elise's hand stayed still, but the reflection's hand rose, moving with inhuman grace. It knew she saw it. It looked hungry. The reflection pressed its hand to the glass, which rippled like water. Fingers emerged, cold and beckoning. Elise screamed, scrambling back as her doppelganger pulled itself halfway through. She fled, locking the door with trembling hands. At night, she heard tapping, fingernails on glass. Sometimes in her reflection, she glimpsed that knowing smile,